What if I told you that everything you need to understand the entire universe is sitting right in front of you in a simple glass of wine? This isn't poetry. This isn't metaphor. This is Richard Feynman, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, showing us how to see the cosmos in the everyday. Today we're exploring what might be Feynman's most beautiful monologue, a passage that reveals not just his genius as a scientist, but his profound ability to connect the infinite to the intimate. Before we dive into the monologue itself, let's understand the man behind these words. Richard Feynman lived from 1918 to 1988. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1965 for his work in quantum electrodynamics, essentially helping us understand how light and matter interact at the smallest scales. But Feynman wasn't just a brilliant theorist locked away in an ivory tower. He was known as the Great Explainer, someone who could make the most complex ideas accessible to anyone willing to listen. He played the bongos. He cracked safes at Los Alamos during the Manhattan Project. He investigated the Challenger disaster. And in 1961, Caltech asked him to do something that would become legendary: teach introductory physics to undergraduates. Those lectures would become the Feynman Lectures on Physics, perhaps the most beloved physics textbook ever written. And it's in the third chapter of Volume 1, titled The Relation of Physics to Other Sciences, that we find our glass of wine. Picture this. It's 1961. Feynman stands before a lecture hall full of bright-eyed freshmen at Caltech. They're expecting equations, formulas, the usual physics fare. Instead, Feynman wants to teach them something more fundamental, that nature doesn't recognize the boundaries we create. We divide knowledge into neat little boxes: physics, chemistry, biology, geology, psychology. We create departments, degrees, specializations. It's convenient for us, necessary even. But nature doesn't know about our filing systems. Feynman's entire lecture is about breaking down these artificial walls. He shows how physics underlies chemistry, how both are essential to biology, how everything connects to everything else. And then, at the very end of this lecture, he gives us a perfect example, something concrete, something beautiful, a glass of wine. Let me read you Feynman's words. A poet once said, "The whole universe is in a glass of wine." We will probably never know in what sense he meant it, for poets do not write to be understood. Classic Feynman, a little playful jab at poets. But watch what he does next. But it is true that if we look at a glass of wine closely enough, we see the entire universe. Now he's going to prove it. Let's follow him through each layer of reality. There are the things of physics, the twisting liquid which evaporates depending on the wind and weather, the reflection in the glass, and our imagination adds the atoms. Start with what you can see. The wine moves, fluid dynamics in action, molecules sliding past each other in patterns so complex that we still can't fully predict turbulence. It evaporates. Watch the surface. Molecules are escaping into the air. Their speed dependent on temperature, on air currents, on humidity. Every sip you take, the wine is different than it was a moment ago. Light bounces off the surface, refracts through the liquid. The red color, you see, that's photons of specific wavelengths making it through while others are absorbed. And beneath it all, invisible to your eye but real as anything, are atoms. Countless atoms, jiggling, vibrating, held together by electromagnetic forces. The glass is a distillation of the Earth's rocks, and in its composition we see the secrets of the universe's age and the evolution of stars. Now look at the glass itself. Silicon dioxide, sand melted and shaped. But where did that silicon come from? The silicon atoms in that glass were forged in the heart of dying stars billions of years ago. When massive stars exploded as supernovas, they scattered these heavier elements across space. Those atoms drifted through the cosmos, eventually condensing into our solar system, into Earth, into the beach where that sand was collected. The glass in your hand is literally made of stardust. Its atomic composition tells the story of stellar evolution, of the universe's age, of the cosmic recycling that makes everything, including you, possible. What strange array of chemicals are in the wine? How did they come to be? There are the ferments, the enzymes, the substrates, and the products. Now we get to the wine itself. Hundreds of chemical compounds, alcohols, acids, esters, tannins, phenols. each one the product of chemical reactions. There in wine is found the great generalization. All life is fermentation. Think about what that means. Yeast, tiny single-celled organisms, consume sugar and produce alcohol. They do this to generate energy, to live, to reproduce. Fermentation is life surviving without oxygen. Nobody can discover the chemistry of wine without discovering, as did Louis Pasteur, the cause of much disease. This is where Feynman's genius really shines. He connects wine to one of the greatest scientific discoveries in history. In 1856, Pasteur was asked to investigate why beetroot alcohol was spoiling, leading him to discover that living microorganisms, yeast, were responsible for fermentation. This wasn't just about wine. This was the birth of germ theory. Pasteur realized that if microorganisms cause fermentation, they might also cause disease. His work on wine led directly to understanding infection, to developing pasteurization, to saving countless lives. A glass of wine led to modern medicine. How vivid is the claret, pressing its existence into the consciousness that watches it. Now Feynman adds another layer, the strangest one of all. The wine isn't just sitting there. You're observing it. Your eyes detect photons bouncing off its surface. Your brain constructs the color red from neural signals. Your memory compares it to other wines, other experiences. Consciousness itself is in that glass of wine, or rather, the wine calls consciousness into being as an observer. This is where physics meets philosophy, where matter meets mind. How does unconscious matter, atoms, molecules, give rise to the subjective experience of tasting wine, of appreciating its color, of remembering a perfect evening? We still don't fully know. Here's where Feynman delivers his real message. If our small minds, for some convenience, divide this glass of wine, this universe, into parts, physics, biology, geology, astronomy, psychology, and so on, remember that nature does not know it. This is profound. We create categories to help us understand. We need specialization. You can't master everything, but the universe doesn't respect our boundaries. A full understanding of wine requires physics and chemistry and biology and geology and even psychology. The wine doesn't care that you're a physicist who doesn't do biology. The yeast don't care that you're a chemist who doesn't do astrophysics. Feynman is teaching us humility. Our divisions are tools, not truths. The real breakthroughs often happen at the boundaries, where chemistry meets biology, where physics meets biology, where computer science meets neuroscience. The universe is whole, interconnected, one thing. We fragment it at our own peril. And then Feynman gives us the perfect ending. So let us put it all back together, not forgetting ultimately what it is for. Let it give us one more final pleasure. Drink it and forget it all. After this journey through physics, cosmology, chemistry, biology, consciousness, after seeing the entire universe in a glass of wine, what do? You drink it, you enjoy it, because that's what it's for. This is pure Feynman. He's not saying knowledge doesn't matter. He's saying knowledge should enhance experience, not replace it. Understanding the physics of light doesn't make a sunset less beautiful. It makes it more beautiful. Knowing about fermentation and organic chemistry doesn't ruin wine. It deepens your appreciation. Science and wonder aren't opposites. They're partners. So why does this passage endure? Why do scientists and non-scientists alike find it so moving? First, it's accessible. Feynman takes one simple object, something anyone can hold, and uses it to explain the interconnectedness of all knowledge. You don't need a PhD to follow along. You need curiosity. Second, it's holistic. In an age of increasing specialization, Feynman reminds us to see the bigger picture, to remember that our categories are conveniences, not cages. Third, it's joyful. Feynman doesn't just teach physics. He celebrates the sheer wonder of understanding. His enthusiasm is contagious. Learning isn't a burden, it's a privilege. Fourth, it's humble. Despite being one of the greatest minds in physics, Feynman acknowledges the limits of our small minds. He knows we can't hold everything at once, but we can try to remember that everything connects. One final note. A poet once said, "The whole universe is in a glass of wine." Who was that poet? Nobody knows for certain. Some scholars suggest French poet Guillaume Apollinaire wrote about the universe condensed in wine in his poem Vin de Mière. Others point to Persian poets like Omar Khayyam or Hafez, who used wine as a metaphor for divine understanding. Maybe there was no specific poet. Maybe Feynman was riffing on a common theme in poetry. Wine as a vehicle for truth, for transcendence, for seeing beyond the ordinary. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what Feynman did with the idea. He took a poetic notion and showed it was literally scientifically true. The universe is in a glass of wine. The next time you pour yourself a drink, wine or otherwise, take a moment. Look at it closely. See the physics in the liquid's motion. See the ancient stars in the glass. See the biology in the fermentation. See the chemistry in the compounds. See the consciousness in your observation. See the universe. Then drink it. And remember, nature doesn't know our boundaries. Everything connects to everything else. That's Feynman's gift to us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of Feynman's teaching, subscribe for more deep dives into his lectures and ideas. And as always, stay curious.